Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Tuesday night, Alpha Ministries going over Tom Bembo's sermon from Sunday. There are a few more people on their way. Some technical issues, I'm afraid, seem to be haunting everybody. Anyway, we were discussing last week between us, after we get off of a Tuesday night deal, we usually have a little discussion and a little chat about how it went. And the general consensus is we're loving everybody chipping in and, making comments and asking questions, giving opinions. Just because we're doing this, it doesn't mean that we're experts. The whole goal of this, I think it was touched on last week, was when you, especially with tonight's subject, when you first hear the gospel, it's too good to be true. And what I mean by that is you've got no earthly experience to measure it by. Your conditioning will tell you exactly the opposite, which kind of ironically, you hear a lot of people in different circles, they'll blame the devil or blame this or blame that. And the number one subject or issue, or the number one obstacle to you believing the gospel is suffering. Because the minute you suffer, the first thing it's going to hit is your flesh. And as we have discussed the last however long it's been, the flesh is enmity. So trying to change the flesh and fix the flesh and trying to change your own way of thinking, trying to, I'm just going to try harder, or I won't blah, blah, blah anymore. Good luck with that. You will, and it will probably be worse. So then the misconception coming into Christianity, hey Pat, is that once you become a Christian, the suffering's over. Here's Tom. Hey mate, how you doing?
Hey, good. Sorry, I am late.
No worries. It's funny, but I was talking about how, this conception of, being a Christian, you shouldn't suffer. I don't know where that comes from, but it's part and parcel. I listened to what you were talking about Sunday and leading up to Sunday, just life, it's like you start preaching about something and I know people are going to start dealing with it. So last week it was a setup to this week where you're actually jumping in and you're talking about the suffering. So dealing with some stuff last week, Lord, I swear the Lord said to me, this is what you signed up for. And I I've got my earpods in. I'm either listening to you or an old tape of John Glenn. But it is what we signed up for. It's our conditioning. Like I said, the number one thing that stops us from believing the gospel is our suffering.
Yeah.
Because the knee-jerk reaction is, poor me. Why me? What have I done wrong? But as we'll see tonight, and as you were talking about on Sunday, it's part of our transformation. If I'm just going to talk about myself, if I'm fat, dumb, and happy, I'm praying less. I'm less, I'm more, it's almost embarrassing to say, but when it looks like it's going to hit the proverbial fan, I'm on my knees. And when you have that season of, it's coming, glory to glory, and you're on that uprise, yeah, you're grateful. Yeah, you're, amazed that he showed up again. But the intensity of the freak out is gone, and you're on the up, you're on the down slope. You can take your foot off the gas. You're just going to go with it. But the thing that hit me, the level of our conditioning that comes into play when we suffer is incredible. And it has nothing to do with the gospel. Like you said, do good, get good, do bad, get bad. Well, that's our conditioning screaming at us, from when you're an infant. You get spanked for doing something wrong, or you get praise for doing something right. Goes into the subconscious mind, and here we go. We're getting our needs met. You're getting that need for approval met. You're getting that, if you screwed up, that need for forgiveness met, that acceptance, that love. Well, in the end, it gets old, because as the older you get, the less it works, because you find out everybody else is doing the same thing. They're all trying to get their needs met. And here comes the conditioning, the subconscious mind, the tape recorder in your head that's storing everything. So the first thing that happens when we suffer is we go to our database of, all right, what do I do now? I mean, I remember John Glenn saying, the first thing that comes to mind when I'm freaking out, I don't do. Because it's not God. It's like,
You mean a knee-jerk reaction?
It's a knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. But yeah. So, how was your week? How was your couple of days after you preached that?
Well, today was going relatively well until about an hour ago, and we've been having water trouble at the ranch, and we're all on wells out here, so. Scramble around, I'm all sweaty trying to fix that, and then I lifted something with my shoulder that's supposed to be fixed, and I mean, this is about 15 minutes ago, and I heard a big pop, and it's hurting now. Oh. Yeah, so I'm hoping I didn't tear it up. That it's just minor, little minor. So yeah, but I was talking to someone else today, about I realize that our bodies are in our age bracket are getting old and falling apart at a pretty rapid pace. And with that comes a lot of suffering, both pain, loss of being able to do things that you like to do, or do things that you need to do for yourself, or you think you need to do. So then, it then enters the pity party, and the depression, I asked the Lord, I said, why? Why? It seems like sometimes I get a little more than my share, and I'm not comparing myself to anybody else, because your own suffering is your own suffering, right?
All right.
But and the Lord, I think He's telling me, He's like, I'm doing this to slow you down and get your attention, because you're always running full speed ahead, and you're not taking time to notice things that I want you to notice. So I'm trying to be a little bit more aware of things, around me, of people and their needs, and just things in general, and aware of my relationship. And it's true. It's like the Lord's saying, it's the only time you talk to me is when you're hurting.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you all the time. And I'm not saying He's punishing me, not by any means.
No.
Because then, if we look at that, then we're going to get to that cause and effect thing, and then that's a performance trap. So, and there's the tricky thing is there's truth in the fact that those who work hard are more likely to succeed. Let's put it that way. But there's no guarantees, and bad things happen to good people, and we can't seem to put a cause and effect together all the time. So, the best lie always contains an element of truth that, if you perform, you'll be rewarded. Well, there's definitely a lot of truth in that, but
Right.
it's not a guarantee.
Right.
So I think the Lord wants us to focus on things that are guaranteed. So what's guaranteed? What does he guarantee? Well, he guarantees our identity. He just guaranteed in the last couple of verses we studied last week that we are his adopted children, which means he intentionally, willfully brought us into his family in an irrevocable manner because he wants a relationship with us that bad. I mean, so focus on the things that are certain, not the things that are temporal.
Yeah.
So, because let's face it, our health is temporal. Sooner or later, we're going to lose it and we're going to die.
Yeah. 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 I mean, thanks for joining us. See you next week. Hey, praise God, we know where we're going. God.
Yeah.
I hate that. The thing that, I mean, it kind of lines up with what you were saying, but the whole analogy with the sculptor was awesome. I couldn't figure out how to get a picture from my phone to this tonight in such a short period of time. So I'll just explain it. This is a few years ago. I found a picture of the statue that Michelangelo sculpted out of marble. It's called David.
Right.
And all it was a picture of his hand like this, right? And if you get a chance to see it, take a look at it because it looks so real. The veins in the hand, the crinkles, the everything about it. You look at your hand and you look at this picture, it's identical. It's unbelievable.
That's interesting. That you picked that one as your example because that's the very thing I talked about Mount Rushmore Sunday, but that's when God first gave me that picture of that image, it was Michelangelo. That very piece of work.
It's so it you get to see this thing and you get to see, and you're talking about how, they chip away at this marble and don't get me wrong when I say this, I'm not associated with Michelangelo in any way, but I used to lay tile for a living. And I did it for 20 years. So over time, you get to know the good tile, the not so bad tile, and the tile that is a pain in the ass to cut.
Because the material itself, it's hard to
the
work
material
with.
Itself, right? Yeah. The consistency, the density, what can you do with it? What can you do with it? Can you go around a door jamb? Is it better to cut the tile in half because you'll save time? The amount of times I've snipped tile and you get to the last one and you snip it and you're like, oh man, I'm almost finished. It's taken you an hour. You snip it and the whole thing shatters, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, over time you get to know I can't do that cut with that piece of tile, right? So when you look at this picture of Michelangelo's David, you get to look at the hand. And I mean, the fingers, they're like an inch big, an inch wide, and he's hitting it with a hammer and chisel. He knows how far he can go because he's got the experience. He's not going to bring out the huge chisel. He's going to use the 5mm chisel instead of the 2-inch chisel. And listening to you today, the Lord hit me with how he knows us as his material. He knows exactly how far we can go on an individual basis and exactly what we need. Now, I'm not minimalizing anybody's struggle or anybody's suffering, but when I'm freaking out in the middle of the suffering, I'm not believing that he's in control.
Mm-hmm.
I'm believing that if I'm going to get out of this, it's up to me. But usually what happens is the more I try, the worse it gets, because he's the sculptor.
Right.
Right? So there's a certain amount of, once, like I said, once the initial flesh gets hit and you get rocked and you can't, the phone could ring tonight and all bets are off,
Right.
And it doesn't have to be monumental. It could be a water issue. It could be, the power goes off in this house and you look out the window and everybody's got their lights on. Did I remember to pay the electric?
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do. But Bill used the word a while back. He called it the turnaround time.
Mm-hmm.
And because ultimately we're going to talk about the hope, but where does the hope come from? The hope comes from the relationship. So taking the turnaround time, it isn't a measurement. The bottom line is you're uncomfortable. You're not believing the truth. You're probably not very relational, snapping people's heads off.
Mm-hmm.
You're not comfortable. You can't see the end in the beginning, which is the eternal perspective.
Right.
Because you're freaking out. You're 100% flesh. So that's where we have a choice. That's where we have a choice. Are we gonna? You don't have to see the end in the beginning to give up. You don't have to know how it's going to work out. You can just put your hands up and go, all right, God, I'm done. I don't want to ride this bull anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the start. That's the start of the recovery. That's the start of the turnaround time. Now, he's ultimately in control of all of it. So if you're going to go around the mountain again, it's not a pass or a fail. He's with you all the way around the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
There are circles that will question that and say, oh, you've backslid. There's no such thing as backslid. You're in Christ.
Right.
Right in the middle of the freak out, you're in Christ. But going back to the sculptor, he's chipping away something that he thinks needs to be chipped away.
Right.
Now, oh man, George Popovich.
Hey, George.
How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, man.
So sorry about that, everybody. An
Old
old
friend.
name, an old friend. So here he is chipping away at you out of love, that is ultimately going to what is he doing? He's detoxing us off of conforming to this world. He's detoxing us. He's chipping away at our belief system that says, I'm in charge. I can get myself out of this. I can do this. I can do that. On the positive and on the negative, the poor me. So he does that by transforming our thinking. Romans 12:2. How does he transform our thinking? He lets us see what we've been believing. And a lot of times, I know in my life, I'm in autopilot. It's like you were saying before, Tom. You're slowing you down to pay attention. That's all he's been doing with me for the last 2 years, and yet my flesh wants to be 2 weeks down the road.
Oh yeah.
My flesh wants. I want to know the answer for 2 weeks down the road, and while I'm thinking about that, I'm having a conversation with Tom, but I'm not in the moment. I'm not present, so I'm not really paying attention. And that reflects, how am I loving Tom if I'm 2 weeks down the road? the whole head and butt disease. My butt is here, but my head's over there. So in that surrender, we're giving up our right to lean on our own understanding. Don't lean on your own understanding in all your ways. Acknowledge him and he'll make your path straight. Even if you can't see the end of your arm, there's the faith. Somewhere along the line, you'll come to the end of your rope, and that's right where God is, waiting to pick you up. So getting back to the whole sculpting thing, what I find in my life is it's absolutely petrifying, because what he's chipping away is exactly what I've been relying on instead of him.
Mm-hmm.
But see, there's the sculptor knowing the material. He knows me better than I do. He knows exactly what needs to be stripped away. Now, he knows before he hits that hammer, metaphorically speaking, that I'm not going to shatter, because that's how much in control he is. I'm not going to. Now, to me, it might feel like my world's coming to an end, but perhaps that one piece that he's chipping off is going to cause a conversation where he can talk to me and tell me, I love you and you're okay. Because ultimately, that's what we want. You know, we come into this relationship with all this conditioning, and that's what's causing the suffering. The circumstances of the suffering are what cause us to turn to him so he can give us the truth that sets us free. Now, the reason it hurts so much, and the reason for me it's so uncomfortable is it feels like you're dying sometimes. It feels like the bottom's being pulled out from underneath you. You know, like Job. Everybody's like, "Oh wow, are you sure you didn't do anything wrong?" Or,
right.
"Wow, man, is it contagious? Because I really don't want to talk to you no more."
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole sculptor analogy really, man, it hit home for me. Because deep down, it's the lies that we're believing. You know, the lies that we're believing about ourselves.
Yeah, the what really brought that out to me and made me go click on that was in verse 19, where it says that the manifestation, the whole creation is waiting for the manifestations of the Son of God. You know, so manifestation means to be revealed or to be made obvious. You know, so everyone can see. You know, and we can see ourselves too. But you know. So I really, wrestle with that. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? So, hey, man.
Hey, Dad. How are you, mate?
Hey, man. Good to see you. Welcome.
Look like you could use some company.
Yeah, we can use a little background here. Yeah, a little coverage. So anyways, you know, it's like I don't even know what the picture looks like. Only the artist does. Only the creator does. You know, and I see people that have, I see people that aren't artists. They have a gift, you know. I don't have that gift, but they can see. They can see. They see things where nothing exists, and they make it manifest. You know, so the rest of us can see it. You know, that's the gift. And you know, it's like, you know, God, He knows exactly what it looks like. You know, so we can't change ourselves and deal with our flesh any more than that piece of marble that became David. You know, could chip off itself.
Yeah,
that's really what he was showing me on that. So
that was cool.
So Dan, what's going on?
Don't try throwing me in that quick.
Okay. Well, all right. We'll let you slide. You just butt in when you're ready, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to catch up.
That's cool. And then, you know, I got to thinking about, well, what are these new bodies that we're going to have going to look like? How are we going to recognize each other? You know, what's Jesus going to look like? You know, there's been all kinds of renderings, but unless he's sat for a portrait that's been preserved for 2,000 years, no one knows what he looks like.
Mm.
He's likely to be Mediterranean looking, but all these things are exciting. We're anxious we're looking forward to this. Like a woman in birth pains, it's painful, but there's joy, an expectation that, pretty soon that baby's coming. We're going to know what it looks like.
Mm.
It's just that's what I'm seeing out of these verses quite a bit. It's still connected with the suffering,
Mm. It's hard to, when he's talking about the whole, where are we, 18, where he starts talking about, for the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it in hope.
Yeah. You got futility in your translation there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because mine says vanity, but they're saying.
Yeah. The emptiness and the uselessness of it.
Right.
Unless we're turning to him, we're just going around the mountain again.
Right.
But then you take into consideration what he said in the first part of Romans 8. He set us up for this. You are a brand new creation. There is no condemnation because you're going through this, because you want the truth. Now you want to play religious games. You want to stay a closed book. You want to stay in control, and then go for it. There'll be a ton of condemnation and wailing and gnashing of teeth. But what he's talking about is what God's done for us that we can't do for ourselves. To ride out the suffering, because we see he gives us glimpses of the end in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That and for me the biggest thing in all that is in the here and now. At 7:28 I'm good.
Yeah.
Ask me again at 7:29.
Yeah, and you used the phrase in the moment a little while ago, and I wrote that down.
Yeah, man. Because you'll never get peace when you're looking down the road.
Mm.
Because he's here right now. He's here talking to me right now. It's so many things correlate to the here right now. He might be getting ready to talk through one of you two. If I'm trying to figure out my day tomorrow, let's say I have a listing appointment tomorrow, or I've got a meeting with someone tomorrow. What's going on today? That's tomorrow, But those are the things that our flesh grab onto to take us out of the moment. It's almost that's a ploy of the enemy. That's a ploy of the flesh, is to take us out of the moment so we miss the point. Right?
Yeah, and I think to take us out of the moment is it's always fear-based thinking.
Absolutely.
It's always fear, And I was looking at something the other day. That was the first. I'm going to say first. Spirit of fear was the first thing that with Adam and Eve. Everyone's focused on the sin, Adam and Eve, and the fall and the sin. But think about the first negative emotion that came in was fear, and they were hiding from the Father. Everything we go through, like you were just saying, Martin, everything we're going through, when you boil it out, what comes to the top is fear.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's born out of that. All the suffering, because I think that's what you guys were like when I came in. You were talking about the suffering. What is the suffering? If we don't have peace, we're in fear. So there's no suffering in the peace.
Mm.
Yeah.
Recognizing that, looking at tomorrow is actually fear, because then you're stuck with the what if.
Right.
Yep.
That's all. I just wanted to throw that in. It's just
no, it's always that way with me.
It was
Yeah,
just
all
what
the
I was going to say, Tom.
fear is followed by anxiety.
It was the first thing, and I think we get away from that. It's still the root of everything that's going on in our lives.
Right.
Go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
No, I was to say it's fear is followed by anxiety. We're not anxious about what's in the moment.
Yeah.
We're anxious about what might happen next.
Well, you can't have anxiety unless you first have fear.
Right. Exactly. It's and I've been that way. Lord busts me out a lot. I'll be actually thinking I'm praying, but what I'm trying to do is negotiate. Trying to negotiate a deal, cut a deal. Like I'll do this if you take away this suffering or whatever.
Yeah, we're trying to negotiate. Lord, half your will and half mine, Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hear the Lord, but I don't hear anything because I'm not being honest about my fear. So finally, he'll break through and say, "So tell me what you're really afraid of." Let's start with that, and then all of a sudden he starts talking. Once I get honest about what I'm afraid of, then he starts. Then the leadership of the Spirit, whether it's whatever form it takes, whether it's comfort, wisdom, a to-do list or whatever, but until I get honest about my fear, nothing happens. I just stay there. I just stay in anxiety.
Man, that's huge. That's huge.
So I'm trying to be more aware of that and start being honest with myself first about what, I'm not really afraid. It's like a kid whistling through the graveyard on a dark night, right? Yeah. Trying to convince yourself you're not scared.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
I can't see anything because I can't hear anything.
Yeah. But that requires some humility to admit you're scared, because we're supposed to be big, strong, tough guys, right?
Yeah, don't cry either.
No, heck no. And I think that's part of it. Before you came on, Dan, I was admitting that, I've been dealing with a lot of physical suffering, and I'm asking the Lord, is this really necessary for my growth?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, it's the only way I can get you to slow down long enough to listen to me and pay attention to me, and because you're off, trying to save the world on your own, and so, part of that was my physical, ability to just keep.
Because it is your job. It is your job, Tom, to save the world.
That's right. Yeah. All by myself.
Yeah. I think it'd be something if we can just kind of, I've been trying to practice that, is just taking that shortcut when things get a little funky, is I'm just take the shortcut instead of going around. Just take the shortcut. What am I scared of?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're going there anyways. We might as well just get on with it.
Yeah, where's the spirit of fear coming from? What is it anchored in? What altar? And I say, what altar in my heart, is this thing sitting on?
Right.
That makes sense. It's just
well, it's antithetical to faith.
Yeah, because you'll just move Jesus off the main thing, put fear there for a moment.
Yeah, put that up on your trophy case, right? Yeah.
It's like the Dixie, the solo cups with the bean underneath, and you're like, okay, which one's going to be today?
Right.
When it's but I just think bringing clarity to it is just realizing that I don't know, unless you can talk me out of it. It's just, it's been fear since the beginning, and it's fear now.
Yeah. And I never stopped
with all the other stuff, man.
Yeah, I never stopped to think about what was the first negative emotion, mankind. And I agree with your assessment there that it was fear.
It was the first. Yeah, it was the first. Hello,
and then
the introduction into
the
fallen man.
Right.
Everyone's like, it's the sin. Well, they didn't act like that till they were scared.
Right. And and that really that's the difference between the sins, which are just manifestations of sin itself. The deeper issue here is the fear or the lack of faith, because either way they're mutually exclusive.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can everything. I mean, I don't know. It is in my life. Once we get honest, you realize that there's some little part of you, you know, that this whether how small or minuscule it is, at some when you're doing an honest inventory, you find out that yeah, wait a minute, what is this?
So
I'm
Dan, back up a minute. Back up a minute. What's an honest inventory? What does that look like?
well when you got to like Tom was saying, first is the humility that comes in because I think because of the way we're raised, there's a boatload of pride. It looks different in all of our lives, but in order to admit that you're failing at anything, the pride's got to get out of the way. You
so
know,
pride comes before the fall, as they say.
yeah,
Mm.
you're right. And if you can't do that, there's no getting honest with yourself because you're going to make excuses for the emotion. You're going to make excuses for your behavior. You'll blame other people,
Mhm.
or you can flip it and turn it internally and go, "Oh, this is going on because I'm still not good enough yet.
Mhm.
Mm.
God's still
I-
working on me yet." You know,
Mm.
it's going on because I'm a work in progress. You know, oh woe is me, oh wretched man that I am. Why did I do this
Mhm.
today? You know,
Mm.
or why is this happening? And then you turn it in, and if you think you're not good enough, then it's hard to see yourself as being loved by the Father. You're like, oh no, he's going to discipline me now, or he's
Mhm.
mad at me because I've made another mistake because I'm not good enough. And now look at the fear that comes in with that.
Mm.
How are you supposed to get healed if you're scared to go to the one that can heal you?
Mhm.
And that's rooted, and again, that's all rooted in fear. Well, this must be happening, and or the other part of it. Oh, this must be happening to me because He's trying to show me that I'm not good enough over here, or I did something wrong here, and He's mad at me because of what I did here. And I think you can't do that moral inventory when you're in fear.
Mm.
And then pride. I'm not scared of anything. You get this so dichotomy of all these things that come into play, but it's still rooted in the main thing.
Well, so that makes sense to me. That's why you in the 12 steps, the inventory is the fourth step. Before you can take that inventory, you got to do the third step, and that's where the faith comes in. In other words, you make a decision to turn your life and your will over to the care of God. And the care is an important word because that means we believe that He honestly, or at least trying to believe that
Right.
He is going to take care of us.
Well, how do you do that if you're coming out of the same thing that Adam and Eve were? They were hiding from Him.
Yeah,
Right.
How are
exactly.
you going to turn yourself over to His care when you think
Yeah.
He's mad at you? Or
Yeah, they were running full speed in the other direction.
It goes back to the first step. You're powerless over it.
That's exactly.
You're absolutely powerless over it.
Right.
There's nothing you can do because by 30 minutes in, you've tried everything.
The only thing you can do is believe what He said about you.
Right.
That's
You can want to do that.
Yeah.
At this point, you can want to do that. But actually, Jim says it, knowing that you're powerless and accepting that you're powerless is two different things.
Mm.
You've got to accept that here comes the humility, like Dan was saying, we're full of pride. No, I've got this. I can do this. I should be further along than I am right now is the one I get hit with. But the truth is, the start of recovery is admitting that you can't do a thing. Remember a few weeks ago we were talking about the prisoner in the bamboo cage, hogtied. The only way this captive is going to be set free is by someone else coming along and opening the cage and pulling him out. That's how powerless we are. And then coming to believe that a power greater than us can restore us to sanity. So even in the middle of the freak out, the fact that you think that you can get out of that bamboo cage, which is a knee-jerk reaction. Well, I could get out if I wanted to. I could stop drinking if I wanted to. I could stop beating my wife up if I wanted to. I could stop unloading on people if I wanted to. I just don't want to. Coming to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity is where God comes in and starts to reveal himself. Because if he doesn't show up, I'm not going to make a decision because, like Dan was saying, I'm still scared. I can admit I'm powerless in that fear. I'm powerless. You know what I mean? The walls are caving in, the ceiling's coming in. Coming to believe. How do I come to believe? He shows up. In whatever way, here's the sculptor. He knows his material. He sees the end in the beginning. He shows up in a way that, okay, this doesn't look as scary as it was. We come to believe that because of the revelation, because of the saved by grace through faith, there's the revelation. It's not ours, it's his. It's a gift so that we can't boast about, oh yeah, I came to believe. Bullshit. Then you make the decision to turn your will and your life over to God. You're still scared. You're still petrified because you haven't, like Dan was saying, you haven't dealt with the reason why you're scared until the fourth and the fifth step. The reason that you're scared is still in there. It's still buried in there. The lies that are, and the secrets that are holding you hostage, that are holding you captive. You haven't even dealt with them.
Yeah, there's that onion peel that we always talk about, the peeling.
Yeah, man.
It's the layers of fear. If you just pull it open, and then there's many things we're scared of. So he's got one thing. Could you imagine him having to deal with them all at one time?
Oh yeah, that would kill us.
I'm running away. I'm not hanging out for that.
But getting back to the sculpture analogy, the finished product is already there. It's just surrounded by the flesh.
Yeah.
So he's not really. In other words, the finished product that's joined to Christ, that's inseparable with Christ. What's true of Christ is true of us. That already exists. That it's not like he has to. It's not like he's building that. That's done.
Right.
It's just we can't see it. It's not manifest to us. It's not obvious to us because it's surrounded by all that conditioning. Just surrounded by it. So that's what he's chipping away at. And it's so embedded into our subconscious mind because you wake up from a bad dream and you wake up trembling, sweaty, and you say, okay, it was just a dream. And so consciously, if you come to full wakefulness, you can apply the truth to it and say that wasn't real. That didn't happen. But you go back to sleep and it comes back. So in other words, it's embedded in there. That it's embedded in our flesh, just like a bad dream. And it takes a lot of applying the truth to it, to make it go away. I mean, have you ever been scared to go back to sleep because you don't want the dream to come back? I have.
I've even changed bedrooms, Tom, and it follows.
Yeah. You try reading a book and getting your mind on something else.
Damn it, man! It's on the couch too.
And that's all coming from your subconscious mind, the heart, the mind of the flesh.
Right.
We can't deal with that. Only God can.
Right.
So let him chip away at it. And I think part of that involves suffering. And I think just part of suffering is also that, if our life was all just, unicorns and rainbows, how would we possibly be able to relate to anyone else? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people get the idea that it's that Pollyanna Christianity, where that's my new word today, Pollyanna, where everything's, unicorns and rainbows. Everything's just happy, happy, joy, joy. You're putting on a happy face and going to church, and everybody else is saying bullshit.
Yeah.
You notice this is like breaking the news about Santa Claus, but unicorns aren't real, Tom.
That's right. But I mean, it's a fantasy land. It's the idea that once you become a Christian, life is just all unicorns and rainbows. It's fantasy. It's not reality at all.
It's a myth.
Yeah. If anything, it gets worse. Because now we've got this conflict of the flesh against the spirit going on. We were ignorant to that before. You know what I mean? Before we were born again, we were ignorant. We didn't have.
Well, that's because you got people that aren't being honest right in your face. You're chasing unicorns because, say that the deacon at the church you go to, every time you see him, he just got done fighting with his wife all the way to church, but he's holding the front door open and he's shaking your hand, and you're like, "Hey, brother, how you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm great, blessed by the best."
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he's crying inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I see these people, they're at a place high, like they're always here. I'm like, what's wrong with my life? Well, I guess I'm just not as spiritual as them, or I guess I'm just not as far along as them, and not realizing that they're probably worse off than I am.
Yeah. And they're the ones that have an image of their mind of what a good Christian looks like. And they're trying to create that image.
Yeah, but that sets a lot of people up too.
Yeah.
Because
there's
that myth now. Hey, when you finally arrive and you're a good Christian, and you can stand here and hold the door open with a fake smile on too.
Yeah. That's why I think if we ever were to be able to meet the Apostle Paul, he'd be pretty raw and pretty blunt, because man, next to Jesus, he's probably second in line on the suffering chart.
I always thought if I met him, his nickname would be Rough Road. We have to call him Rough Road.
Yeah, man, because I mean, it was no picnic for him. And his conclusion was, count it all joy.
Yeah, I just took a shellacking. Yeehaw.
Yeah. Him and Silas are singing hymns in prison after they got whipped, beaten. They got their feet in the stocks.
Right.
They're sitting in their own waste, and they're singing hymns at midnight.
You can get caught up in heaping condemnation on yourself, because there's that unicorn myth of, hey, this is what it looks like when you get there.
Yeah.
Well, what's wrong with me? What am I doing? How come my life's not like that? Well, and then you start bashing yourself.
Right.
And Satan will join right in with you real quick. Yeah, you're right. You do suck.
Mm-hmm.
God, I think God might still be mad at you.
And that opens up the whole subject of toxic faith. When you're playing those religious games, trying to convince yourself and others, that you're okay.
I've never seen any promise in the word. I never read it where it says, "Hey, listen, when there'll be a point where everything gets easy, everything is smooth, and everything will go your way."
Yep. So perhaps if nothing else, that the obstacles keep getting bigger as God is taking us to new experiences, new opportunities. There's going to be even bigger obstacles,
Yeah. And then
it's all relative, because my obstacle might be laughable to you guys. You know what I mean? But it's exactly what I need.
Yeah. But if it appears to be insurmountable to you at this moment, then it's just as insurmountable as anything else anybody else is going to have to face.
Right. Right.
We each got our own mountains.
And usually that they are. Usually there's no earthly way this is going to work out. And yet we were just talking about how in the beginning, humble up, I'm powerless.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started talking about the opposite of that, blaming other people, putting on a front. But honestly, if the doorman at the church is putting on the front, it's because he's seen the next one up from him do it, and then that guy's seen it, and the next one, it's coming from the top down.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're definitely imitators.
But that's why a lot
false standard being set. We're all reaching for this unattainable goal.
Yeah, and that's toxic as well. Just to put anybody else at a pedestal and then trying to attain to where they are is a toxic idea. That somehow they're better than you. They've arrived.
I did that with John Glenn. I put him on a pedestal.
It's natural.
Yeah,
it's natural.
Yeah. I wanted to see a few people actually, not just John, but ultimately John, because I wanted to have a model to follow, to look after. Okay, so Jesus is the model and all that. Don't get me wrong, but I need something I can touch and I can feel and I can, okay, what's it look like when he freaks out?
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately he's going to freak out. And hopefully I'll be around.
Yeah.
I was a couple of times, and he's just like me.
Yep.
Newsflash.
Yeah. I lived on the same ranch with the guy for 17 years.
Right. Right. And, but see, I needed to see that because I had seen examples of BS.
Right.
Oh, brother, you just need to pray hard. I've tried that. And it didn't work, because it was, here we go again. It was my efforts I was going after something I already had.
Mm-hmm.
It was just resting in that fact and letting him reveal it to me.
Right.
Patience.
Isn't this whole thing about going after stuff we already have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm going to use that as a segue, because while you were talking, I was like, I turned to Ephesians here, right in the very beginning, like verse 3 or 4, whatever. But it says, blessed be to God the Father and our Lord Jesus Christ. And it says, who has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in heavenly places in Christ. It says he has. It's not as he's gonna. He might. He already has.
As soon as you get your act together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He didn't say some of the blessings. He said every blessing.
Has blessed us with every spiritual blessing. Check this out. In heavenly places in Christ. So if we're in him, that's all, joint heir, all that stuff. But he has blessed us. So, but we all keep trying to get blessed. Mm-hmm. We keep trying. We're still looking, like you're saying, Martin. Yeah. I'm still trying to get things, because I think I'm chasing stuff I already have, because I think if I get the thing, wow, that sounds familiar. Sounds like Adam and Eve again.
Yeah, or old King Solomon.
Going after stuff that you already have. They already were what the enemy was making them second guess. Are you sure? How you think? Oh, you might be. Oh, if you do this, then you'll be like him. Oh, wait. No, it's the same thing. We've already, Jesus, like you say, I like saying it both ways. He's doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. Okay, that's one category. But what about what he's already done for us that we couldn't do for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
It's So it's like we're always looking at the work in progress, but what about all the spiritual blessings, everything that he's already done and is in place, can't be erased, can't be removed. You're seated in it. It's all yours, but we're still trying to get it.
Right.
And then we never get it. And now there must be something wrong with me, because how come I don't have it? We don't realize you already have it. It's like being broke. I think it's like, just say you've been broke for a while, and you just barely make your bills all the time and this and that. And then one day you get a knock on your door and it's a lawyer, and he's like, "Man, we've been looking for you for months." And then you find out somebody passed away and left you an estate and $10 million in a bank account. Well, you already had it, didn't know it. You're living broke, and I'll tell you what. Once you realize what you have, I know when I walk out that door, I'm gonna have a little different attitude when I walk out that door this time.
Yeah.
But I had it already.
Yeah, it was yours all along. You just didn't know it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then once you snap to the fact that, wait a minute, I already have every spiritual blessing. Every. That means there's nothing left. It's already done. What he's trying to do for us now that we can't do for ourselves is get us to understand this.
To see it, yeah.
To make it real.
Right. Well, again, that's getting back to that use of the word manifestation of the sons of God. In other words, to make it obvious to us so we can see it.
Yeah, because we can't manifest until we understand, until we believe this, until this is real.
Right.
Until I'm walking out of the house.
Yeah.
And I'm going to the steakhouse now because I can pay for it now because I got 10 million in the bank. I ain't even seen the estate yet. Everybody's going to the steakhouse that night. But unless, if you don't believe that, then we're going to be over at the Waffle House. Nothing against anybody eating at the Waffle House.
No.
Every once in a while, I've got to have some Waffle House. It's like a road trip's not a road trip.
Oh, I don't think I call that, that's keeping it real. In case you get a little uppity and all like that, you always got to remember where you come from.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
let's get back to that fear again, because it occurred to me that Jesus said if you had faith, a grain of a mustard seed, you could move mountains with it, right? So if you got fear, the grain of a mustard seed, in other words, when just the slightest bit of fear creeps into our thinking.
Okay. Well, that'll grow roots too.
Yeah, it'll bring mountains down too. I mean,
and we're just talking about habitual stuff and things like that. We're not even touching on the spirit side of it, what demonic side of it, what's coming along with that fear.
Oh yeah.
What gained access to us. If you catch yourself in this spiral all the time of the same thing over and over, well, it might be just something a little more than habitual thinking. Might be something there that needs to get out.
Yeah. Well, we definitely get egged on, for sure. By the enemy.
The thing with me is, I'm grateful for the people around me. There's people I can call you to for sure. There's other people in my life because
I got you blocked.
Yeah, I called you 4 times today. What's that?
I got you blocked.
But
tired of that stuff, man.
Tired of the foreigner. The only way that I get off of the fear merry-go-round is him giving me an option, or him seeing me, letting me know that I'm spinning out of control. I might not even know that I'm spinning. You know, I mean, let's face it, it's fear or faith. If I'm not believing the gospel, it's fear. It can go back to anything, but I'm in such denial. I don't know. It's fear. This is something that I've done my whole life. That's what I'm talking about. This knee-jerk reaction is something that I've done for 50 plus years. This isn't foreign to me until he reveals it. And then when he reveals it, then the fear comes in. Oh, shit, what do I do with it now? See, it's... And like Dan's saying, it might be a superficial habit, or it could be a generational curse or whatever, but let's just call it fear for now. The fact that it's there and you've recognized it is evidence of God in your life. It's like we were saying tonight. The fact that you guys were talking about being open, honest, and transparent, instead of going, no, I'm all right, I'm good. No, really, it's, I'm just having a bad day, or, she's pissed off at me because she's pissed off at me, show me something new. There's no responsibility. We're still living in la la land, projection and denial. Dan made me do it. It's not my fault. He made me do it. He told me, fill in the blank. But the fear will always be there because that's what we've lived in. That's what is the core of our programming. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Because ultimately, we don't know. We don't believe we're loved. Fear. We don't believe we're accepted. Fear. We don't believe that we're forgiven. Fear. We don't believe that we have any meaning and purpose. We don't know why we're here. Fear. We're definitely not important. Fear. Anything we touch proves that we're not adequate and able. Fear. So,
and if you were a real Christian, you wouldn't have fear. Fear.
Right.
Fear of fear.
Right. Those are secondary and third degree lies. Layers
right.
Of the onion.
So that ultimately, instead of psychoanalyzing and getting into all these mental gymnastics, God, I'm powerless. I can't handle this. Once I crack this can open, it's never ending. I am scared doo-doo of everything. There's no measurement. I'm about to go off the deep end. Good. Welcome to the club. Mm-hmm. All right, now we can get started. You're there because he wants you there, not because you screwed up, not because you're less than, not because you're too far gone. There's nothing new under the sun. That's a proverb. Nothing new under the sun. And that's the cool thing, when you find a church or go to meetings and you find a good group, a lot of the camaraderie comes because of the transparency of everybody talking about their weirdness. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
We're not walking around proving to each other how much we've got our stuff together. We'll make 9 times out, I know with us lot, we'll make fun of ourselves for going off on a rabbit trail. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, this is what the Lord's having me deal with. Why? Because we're all dealing with it on a daily basis. You brought up Hebrews on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I think it's in Hebrews 10 where it sort of talks about safety in numbers. Safety in like-minded people. when you're going through it, when it feels like the bottom's falling out, he'll bring people into your life. But it's still, you're still going to be the one that's going to have to take that step. Hey, you know what? I'm not having a good day. Everything isn't fine. And that's okay. That's 100% okay, because we're not of this world. We're in it. We're getting detoxed off of this world, like it's saying in Romans 12. Our old way of thinking is dead and gone. We keep bringing it back to life. We're being renewed by the transformation. We're being renewed daily. So instead of coming out of fear, he's helping us to come out of faith. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it helped though. Like you said, we were saying earlier, when that myth, that unicorn. I think when we realize those are false goals.
Mm-hmm.
They don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
to break it down, then you wind up. I think maybe you wind up going a little easier on yourself.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
what did it say in Ecclesiastes? Like chasing after the wind, trying to catch the wind.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist, you know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, when you lower the bar, then it doesn't. You don't look so bad in the race here. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, do we anything else we want to touch on, Tom? Dan?
no, I think pretty good place to. I gave a homework assignment, which I rarely do, but I asked everybody to read Hebrews 11 before next week, and I think the Lord's going to take us, show us a few things there, and perhaps even we might spend some time in Hebrews chapter 12 as well. We will get back though to Romans 8. I just I don't want to lightly gloss over this section on suffering. I think it's pretty important that we, spend some time. And those
Sure.
folks that you'll meet in Romans or in Hebrews 11, if you haven't heard some of their stories, you'll discover that they were no strangers to suffering as well, and they battled with unbelief, they battled with fear, they battled with adversity, but they're memorialized as heroes of faith. So I think their stories are worth taking a look at. Much like
Cool,
ours.
man.
Yeah. Yep.
all right, Hebrews 11 it is.
Hebrews 11. So, anyways, I'm going to take a couple of Tylenol here that I have in my desk because my shoulder's starting to talk to me.
Oh man.
I might have torn. It might just be something little, but it's something. It's something. Well, what it is, but it's something. Just hope it isn't like the last time.
Really. All right, let's you got anything else, Dan?
No, sir.
All right, we've got Patrick Zemp, Bob Stafford, Peggy Fender Martin, Dar Bod, George Popovich.
Yeah, good to see George.
Yeah, man. Hope you're doing good, George. Alexander Shipman and Barbara Kelly. Thanks for joining us. I hope you got something out of it. I know I did. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Sounds
Thanks for
good.
joining us.
All right.